Hey, what's up? My name is Matt, one half of Carly and Matt here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I've been capturing weddings for about 6 years now, and wedding films for just about 3. This year is gonna be 4 years of wedding films. And if you've been here for any length of time, you know that I've been, when it comes to photography, a Nikon guy through and through. When I got into the video space though, Nikon was still yet to put out cameras like the ZR and anything capable, in my opinion, 3 years ago. And so when I got into the video space, I found a really sweet deal on a Sony a7S II, which was my first pro entry video camera into the Sony ecosystem. I shot one wedding film on the a7S II, fell in love, and then my first official pro cinema camera was the FX30, basically right off the bat. I shot with the FX30 for the first 2 years of shooting wedding films, and I mean, it became a staple, as it should be and as it currently is, in my kit and for the look and feel of our wedding films. It looked amazing, right? Like, it's got that cinema camera look and feel, functionality through the roof. And I mean, the image coming out of it was just incredible. And it made making videos and watching them back so much fun to actually create and work with, as opposed to what I had experienced up until that point with Nikon and a7S II when it came to video. But eventually, like most of us, I think, when we start in the crop world when it comes to video, I dreamt of the big boy upgrade, the FX3, right? The creator cam, as it affectionately became known. That was my dream, the upgrade to the legendary FX3. The problem was, and still is, the hefty price tag, right? $5,000 is not a small amount of money. You know, I never pulled the trigger on the FX3. My heart said, yes, please, and my pockets said, you can't afford this right now. Enter my abusive relationship with the ZV-E1 right here. On paper, this thing is an absolute monster, right? 4K 60 uncropped, FX2, S-Log3, 10-bit color, AI autofocus, full frame, half the price of the FX3. What could go wrong? Well, I mean, it turns out a lot can go wrong. Well, okay, go wrong is the wrong terminology. I had to do a lot of hard learning while using this camera last year. For 2025, I shot all of my wedding films, which was 8. I shot 8 wedding films with the ZV-E1 as my A cam, and my backups being 2 FX30s as my B and C cams. And this was a learning experience, is the best way I can put it. You see, because I came to like have such a positive experience and like be able to rely on the FX30 so much and so heavily, I mistakenly assumed I could do the same with the ZV-E1. And when I purchased the ZV-E1, I knew it had some shortcomings compared to cameras like the FX30 and the FX3, and I really thought I'd be able to circumvent those, but it took some working around, if that makes sense. And those workarounds didn't end up being as small as I thought they were. So here is what I had to deal with. Now, number one is that single card slot right here. Just a single SD card slot. Now, if you work in any kind of professional environment, you know how vital it is to have backups upon backups of your footage. And the cameras like the FX3, FX30, and the a7S III, basically the majority of pro-grade cameras do have dual SD card recording capability. But the ZV-E1 here does not, just the single SD card slot. So here was workaround number one, the Atomos Ninja V recording monitor. Right here, Atomos Ninja V. The Ninja V is and continues to be my solution for backups / secondary recording for any camera I have that only features like the ZV-E1, a single SD card slot. To be fair, I haven't yet had anything happen to the extent where I needed what was being recorded on the Ninja V as a backup solution, but it has been crucial to my peace of mind when I go and shoot things that you cannot shoot again. So the cost of Workaround number 1 was $300. I got a steal of a deal, $300 for the Ninja V and $120 at the time for the SST in the back here. So the total for this solution to problem number 1 was $420 Canadian. Problem number 2, overheating. And let me tell you, this thing overheats like nobody's business, and I learned that very, very quickly. If you've used the FX3 or the FX30, you know that it has onboard fans, and you most likely have never overheated the camera. And the A7S III has heat sinks and heat dissipation enough that you most likely haven't had to deal with overheating either. Not so with the ZV-E1. And I'll be honest, I learned the hard way that this thing is not meant for long recordings at any capacity by any means. I found, maybe specifically on this one, but I found the recording limit in 4K 24 10-bit S-Log 3 to be only about, in an ambient temperature of about 23 degrees Celsius, I was only ever really able to record for like 12 minutes before it overheated. And the first time I noticed this was it had overheated and stopped recording in the middle of an unboxing, and I had to pause the unboxing, cool the camera down and replace the battery and just run the whole thing again, because it overheated after only about 12 minutes of recording, ambient room temperature 23 degrees at 4K 24. So workaround number 2 to problem number 2 is these guys right here. A small rig and Ulanzi brand camera fan. So these basically act as a heat sink that fits right in to the back right here, and you're able to power these via USB-C or this detachable battery. While this is an inexpensive solution compared to, you know, the Ninja V, it is actually super inconvenient, I gotta admit. So because you need to be able to run power to these, all of a sudden, this ZV-E1 small compact rig actually has to be rigged out with an external battery, top handle, monitor, yada, yada, yada. So it turns into quite the non-compact rig in order to run auxiliary power and power this fan to cool this camera and keep it running. I was able to shoot weddings for indirect sunlight at about 35 degrees Celsius, which is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, no problem. But I was sweating buckets because this thing ends up getting really heavy when you have an external battery and rigging it out the whole 9 yards. But the good news is it did keep this camera cool and manageable. But I don't think I've ever been able to look past the fact that the creeping doubt that this thing might overheat on me in the middle of a shoot. So that was problem number 2 and workaround number 2. Problem number 3 is the micro HDMI port. Now, if you've been digging around the ZV-E1 and trying to figure out if this camera is the camera for you, you have probably stumbled upon this already, realizing that this micro HDMI might be a little bit of a challenge for you. But thankfully, this is actually a pretty easy workaround, and I think micro HDMI on a camera is a little bit of a problem that's blown out of proportion. So workaround number 3 for problem number 3 is this guy. Let's see if we can get the camera to focus. This guy right here. So this is a full-size HDMI that is plugged directly into the micro HDMI port and secured in place by this small rig cage that comes with an accessory to do exactly this. And now this micro HDMI has a full-size HDMI. So, I mean, this problem is pretty simple. It's super secure. This workaround cost me $12. I wouldn't really worry about a camera that has micro HDMI when there's things like this that exist and you plan on putting a cage on all your cameras anyways. Well, that's it. I mean, those are my main and I think the main issues with the Sony ZV-E1 if you plan on trying to use it for professional work of some capacity. And those are the reasons I got my hands on the camera I'm filming on right now, the Nikon ZR. And I know you hear that and you say, but Matt, you know, all of these issues are present in the Nikon ZR and the file sizes are bigger and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, no, I hear what you're saying and shut up. I'm committing to Nikon ZR and that's it. No, but I mean, on the real side, I do have very specific reasons for flipping over to Nikon ZR as my main A cam, but that's gonna be a story for another video. At the end of the day, the ZV-E1 shoots amazing looking footage. I mean, if you're used to what you see in the A7S III and FX3, the ZV-E1 puts out that same, that same image. But it also, at the end of the day, was not a camera that was put out for professional cinematographers and videographers in mind. I really think that this was built for creators and people who wanted to have the power of the FX3 in a small body as something more of a vlog, content creation, short form kind of camera. So it's got its caveats, its workarounds, whatever, but at the end of the day, truth be told, the image that comes out of here is incredible. So I guess I don't really know what my conclusion is here other than maybe be warned if you are considering getting the ZV-E1 as a professional work camera. Just be prepared that you are going to probably have to think of solutions similar to what I did in order to make sure that you are not only producing quality work, but protecting your clients in the midst of that. Let me know down in the comments if you have a different experience with the ZV-E1. I'm curious to know if some of you have really enjoyed your experience with the ZV-E1, maybe in different contexts. Shout me out down in the comments. Let me know what your experience has been with the ZV-E1 or another camera that has had similar issues, or if you're just here along for the ride. Type holla if you made it down this far into the video. I think we're gonna turn that into the new thing on this channel just to see who's a real one. So if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Type holla in chat, in the comments. I will make sure to reach out and reply. I love interacting with you guys and getting to know a little bit of you here on the channel. That's all I've got. Drop a sub if you made it this far. I appreciate our growing follower count. I'm looking forward to really punching my way up in weight class on YouTube. So if you're into following the journey, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.